Welcome to the Fabus Farms Horse Classroom. We hope you came ready to learn.
All right, a pretty common question that we get is what is the difference between grass hay and alfalfa hay? And while we were doing chores tonight, I thought we had some pretty good examples of each of those, so I am stopping for a minute to hopefully do a quick tutorial on what is the difference and some good examples of each. So in a quick answer, the difference is the plant. So the plant that is cut down and then baled up are very different. So zoom in, Caroline, let's show them. This is grass hay. So it is just like what it sounds. It's different types of grasses. It can be a mix that's planted, and this really depends on where in the country you live. But here's a grass hay. This is a second cutting, which means the second time in that year or that season that the hay was cut and baled off a particular field. And then over here we have some alfalfa. Alfalfa is much different. So this plant has lots of little leaves on it. This is also a second cutting. But this is a much more nutrient-dense feed for horses. So you may not give it as much, or only a particular type of horse is going to need this. Maybe a young growing horse or an old horse that's having a difficult time keeping their weight on. But you'll notice when you look at an alfalfa flake, especially one that's as rich as this, like there's lots of leaves that fall down when you shake it. When I grab a stem off it, you can see that there's a ton of leaves on there. And those small little leaves from the alfalfa plant are where the majority of the nutrients come from for this type of hay. We're really fortunate around here that my husband grows all of the hay for our farm, so not only do we have a plentiful supply, but we also get to pick and choose what we give each individual horse so we can kind of tailor to their needs. So we're very fortunate to have those sorts of things. If you wonder about cost, typically your alfalfa is going to be a more expensive product to buy because it's more expensive to grow. It's also, like I said, a more energy dense feed, so you wouldn't necessarily have to feed as much of it. However, we want the majority of horses' diet to come from forage, so some sort of hay. So 1.5% to 2% of their body weight should be eaten every single day in forage. So we would prefer horses' bellies keep munching all throughout the day. So a large quantity is good for a horse. We would not like them to have just a small quantity of rich hay. We would rather, if they can maintain their weight and growing and all those sorts of things, we would like to give them more of a grass hay that is still really good for them, but that's better for their digestive tract. So that's a quick and dirty difference between grass hay and alfalfa hay. Go ahead, Red, you can come in and zoom in if they wanted to see the difference here between a really good example of second cutting grass hay. This is actually off a round bale. So sometimes people think that the hay that goes in round bales is different than the hay that goes in square bales, and it's not necessarily. We just filled this wheelbarrow up from a round bale, and this is half a square bale in here. And you can see how different this forage is. So that's the difference between grass hay and alfalfa hay. Hope you learned something.
Thank you for joining Fabus Farms Horse Classroom. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us the like button as well as subscribe to our channel for more videos.